I would like to now ask each of our speakers, and Cairo, you're welcome to chime in a bit here, really about what do you feel is a good suggestion for empowering women and girls and leadership in our communities? Let's start with our communities, and then as people, we'll ask people, since we don't have a raise hand feature with the participants, you'll raise your hand. If you want to ask a question, put your camera on and raise your hand on the screen. But let's start with, let's go first to Dena. Why don't you give us a reflection? Your reflection should be not long because we want to include as many people as we can, so we can come up with our 4 or 5 outcomes at the end, because Cairo will be reporting this back to the main session later, shortly. At about 10:15, this session will end. So Dena, over to you.
Thank you. So I would definitely say as a start, really from a community standpoint, I know for me, there's a lot of cultural ideologies of what women should be doing. And I think it starts from home and educating and empowering girls from a young age to be able to allow them to realize the capabilities that we have. And then the second, I would say that, allow more men to be our allies and really create, because we create the space for ourselves, but be able to be our allies in various different positions while we climb that ladder to success.
Thank you so much. I think it's a good point to say with gender equality, we want to make sure we do include men and boys in the equation. So Lebo, why don't you give us your reflections now?
Yeah, and I think I'm certainly in full agreement. Empowering women at the grassroots, and certainly having vehicles around how in our communities women play an active role in the household, and not just in sort of really bringing a household and holding one together. I mean, sincerely, women provide more for the household as a percentage of their income than men do. So really thinking about empowerment vehicles really is about the economic emancipation of women, and really thinking how to empower women's skills across the board. And I think there are still many areas to work through, depending on which regions in the world we're all from different parts of the world. And certainly, I think that is where we start in our communities.
Thank you for that, Courtney.
Yeah. So, well, I agree with all of you, and I think it is about finding what we can do as individuals. So can we be mentors? Can we help find mentors for other people?
That's actually a question coming up later.
Sorry. But I do think it's really about providing role models, providing situations in the community where girls and women can connect and can share an experience and feel empowered and get confidence.
Thank you so much. Courtney, I really feel it's important, I must say this, to include the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN agenda, because in that we can find ways to create solutions within communities on one scale, bigger scale, and there may be an opportunity to also connect with other communities. Say a group in New York connects with a group in Kenya, they connect with a group in, say, whatever country, South America, Central America, somewhere, but it may be also broadening out the outreach to see what similarities groups have and maybe come up with joint solutions. Cairo, I'm going to ask if you want to contribute to the conversation on this.
I would love to. I actually really like the point that you just made, Margo, earlier about this idea of an exchange. And when I think of cultural exchange or some sort of exchange of knowledge on an entrepreneurial level, it allows people to trade ideas, trade solutions, and together as a strategic partnership, we can be able to succeed all together. So I just wanted to add that last point that you just made. I thought that was really wonderful, and I thank you for that.
That's terrific. Thank you so much on that. And, I think when we look at how do we inspire women and girls to believe that they could become entrepreneurs, say, to achieve some financial stability, but also be able to create jobs for others too, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the SDGs is a way of coming up with opportunities for solutions and, to develop leadership. So I just want to ask quickly if anybody who has joined us in the group has, if they want to raise their hand and contribute anything to these thoughts from the group that is joining us.
Do you see Laura?
Oh, a hand
I
is up.
see Laura.
Oh, we have a hand up feature. We didn't see it earlier. Okay, so, okay, Laura, if you want to please make your response brief because we want to get as many people in as possible, but go right ahead. Unmute yourself, please. And if you can, turn your camera on.
Oh, for some reason, Laura, it looks like although you're unmuted, we can't hear you.
Sorry, Laura, we will come back to you. Does anybody else have any, oh, she's gonna write it in the chat. Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any feedback on this? So we'll come back to what Laura writes in the chat, but I'd also want to say, how can we inspire girls to do that? I think the SDGs is one way of looking at this, but not everybody outside of the general community of the UN understands that. So I'm going to ask Dena, how do you feel we can do this? How can we inspire women and girls to become entrepreneurial leaders in that? And it can also become leaders in their community in terms of, you know, becoming council leaders or maybe even becoming a teacher. But what do you think would be, how can we inspire them to get engaged?
Yeah, so I really honestly think that we have to inspire one another. I know for me personally, when I couldn't see that narrative of an Arab American first generation, I was trying to Google any sort of relevance. So for me, even seeing a woman in spaces that I once thought we couldn't really take up, it inspires me. So even if one person, for example, on this, you know, conference is inspired from any woman or girl that is speaking, that's literally on a small scale how we're able to really inspire others. And then we kind of are paving the way through that. So
that's great. Lebo, do you have anything you want to, your reflections?
Yes, thanks for asking. I was really eager to get onto this question. I think because really, you know, empowering women through entrepreneurship vehicles is a pivotal role in really providing the catalyst for getting more women into positions, into really making their own money, and certainly into, you know, providing further opportunities for their broader communities. And you know, me and Cairo would know because we've both also formed part of another global network of women around mentoring women entrepreneurs in Africa. And this is, for me, something that I think I'm deeply passionate about, simply because of understanding the independence that comes from that. And so really having these top global networks or regional networks, having business accelerators, having mentorship is one of the key ways to driving women entrepreneurship and facilitating, you know, their financial independence, and also giving skills to the communities that they form part of.
That's terrific. Courtney?
Sorry, unmuting. I'm just so, like, I think actually I'm just so inspired by all of you here. And so I think that's part of it, is how do we connect all the people who are in this community with the girls that need inspiration, and what can we do as individuals to be part of that process. And I think this is a great start and fantastic. And I love what you guys are doing, and I'm really inspired. And I, in my daily life, try to connect with, whether it's my niece or other NGOs I work with. So
Thank you so much, Courtney. You know, with the NGO Committee on Sustainable Development, we've actually done a lot of outreach, not just to girls, but boys too, that are younger than 18, who've actually tried to achieve becoming entrepreneurs based on the SDGs, including Michaela Oma, who's with me in the Bees Lemonade. I mean, she actually created something, went on Shark Tank, Damon John backed her, and you know what? She became one of our honorary advisors. But she was also supported by her family. So yes, it's not just a kid on its own. It's either teachers and also parents that will help assist but there has to be a desire. And I actually believe that without the passion to want that to happen, it may just be an idea for a short time, but people can encourage and support, which is what some of the people that we work with do with children and young adults. So I think it's really important to really foster any and encourage seedling ideas. But I really want to just look at focusing the SDGs, because getting this outside of the UN environment and into the global community is what we need to do, because it still is the best roadmap forward to actually leave no one behind by 2030. But we have to get into action plans. So what I would like us to do in a little bit later, if we have more discussion, is for us to come up with a couple of plans of action, which Cairo will compile, and that's what she'll bring back to the main session and report back to everybody. So I'm going to ask if Cairo, do you want to add in here any reflections? I know you're probably eager to give us some input.
I'm always happy to share, and I've been listening to all of the comments that have already been given, and everything sounds wonderful. I also agree with visual representation. I agree with mentorship. But before I go any further, I just wanted to read what Laura wrote. She said, "I'm 19."
Why don't you finish your thought first? Just finish what you're doing,
Okay.
and then I'll get to that. Yeah, just go right ahead. Finish your thought. I really want to feel what you're feeling.
Oh,
about
thank
this.
you so much. I just want to make sure Laura's message didn't get lost.
We will get to everybody. No worries.
Okay, so the story that I wanted to share with you all very quickly, an anecdote of when I was growing up. My father, was always encouraging me to see women in such a diverse way and seeing them in a complex way, right? So I remember being like 4 or 5 years old, and I said, I don't think girls can be an astronaut. And he shared with me a book of Macy Jemison. I was saying, I didn't think that girls could ride motorcycles. And he actually pulled up, and there was a bike riders. All of them took off their helmets and showed me that they were women. And my eyes were extremely opened, and that stayed with me over the last 20 years. So I would say having strong supporters of female empowerment of all genders is very critical so that the message gets spread. So being able to hear it from a different perspective, for example. So that's what I would share.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because the fathers have been encouraging. I know Mahlare gives a lot of credit to her own father for inspiring her and getting her going. But it can be the family unit. It can be the teachers for young girls. I want to also look at how do we inspire women of all ages, because you can be coming into retirement and decide to make a direction change and start a company that will maybe have a remarkable impact on groups, maybe even globally. So let's come to, so let's not forget everybody. It's across the board, women of all ages. So let's go to, let's go to Laura's question. All right, do you want to read it? Because we have some interference coming. Go ahead, Cairo. Laura, can you unmute?
Can you try again?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, go ahead, Laura, just say it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm 19. I am from Venezuela and founder and president of Girl Up Venezuela, which is kind of like a youth movement to advance gender equality in my country. And basically, my answer is storytelling. When I started Girl Up, many people didn't know about gender equality, let alone what was female empowerment. And so we started using storytelling as a tool to do that. And it was very, very successful, because when girls, sit down and we did this storytelling rounds where everyone shared inspiring stories, everyone left so inspired and ready to take action. So answering to the last question that you also said, like, how can we inspire women of all ages? I think storytelling is so important. Because when we see girls and women, having success in their areas, you say, I can do that too. I can also be successful. And so, yeah, that would be my answer, storytelling.
That's wonderful. All right, I see some comments in the chat, but one of the things that we did want to talk about is mentorship. And again, I feel it's important to mentor women of all ages. Some may not want that, but there are mentors that happen, and encouraging and support, and to support people along their route of whatever they want to do, not just as entrepreneur, but again, it could be to become a teacher, it could become a community leader. And but building these senses of community is important. So I'm now going to go and see if anybody in the, does anybody want to speak, or do you want to go with your questions in the chat? So Laura, you had yours. Anybody else here? Dula? Do you want to unmute?
I think education, I'm sorry, education is so important.
Can you introduce yourself quickly so we know who you are?
I'm Dula Pacquiao from New Jersey. I'm an educator. So if we structure the curriculum so that you can build, for example, the concept of empowerment, and recognize openly contribution of girls and women in the class, and maybe promoting leadership projects that they could be the leader of a group, and as well as creating some cooperative experiences for students in high school and maybe middle school, so that they get to be mentored by outside entrepreneurs and leaders. I think education is one systemic way that we can pave mentorship, that it doesn't happen just by chance, but it is a curricular programming with instruction about how to. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you, how would you approach that from not just in a school, but how would you do that to impact women in a community, say, who are out of school? How would you approach that? How do you mentor women who are maybe changing career, or women who've retired and maybe looking at another opportunity for themselves, and connected maybe even to the SDGs? Do you have a thought on that?
Well, we could, as faculty, we don't have to be limited to the school.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one of the criteria for promotion is community involvement. And that can be, you can do it with your parent-teacher association. You could do it with your church. You could do it as a community outreach by the school, so that you could train people who are interested. We have a program, for example, for community women to become leaders in health for their community, how to recruit people, how they might refer people, and how we could give them basic skills so that they can pick up maybe some sort of symptoms that can be referred. And mental health is one of those areas that we don't see very often in healthcare unless the person is encouraged to come forward. So as a faculty, you need not be within the school system. That is part of what we do.
That's a great answer. And, during the pandemic, people are coming up and volunteering and taking a lead to work with their communities to come out of this crisis, right? So it's really about stepping up and getting engaged, and letting people know there are opportunities where they will be included, and to look at different opportunities, right? Not just, but you're doing that. You're actually helping in other ways. Remarkable. Thank you. Any one of our other, those of you that have joined us, if you would like to come in and speak right now, let us know. You can put your camera on, raise your hand if that works, or raise the hand feature.
Rhoda has her hand up.
Okay, can you put your camera on? Thank you, Cairo.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm not able to share my camera, but I had a question to the panelists.
Well, thank you for your question. And do you have anything your thought about how we can address the mentorship or engaging women in the community and becoming leaders?
Yes, like brother from Kenya. I know in Kenyan communities there are always those small women groups called merry-go-rounds, and they keep on supporting one another, and they have those financial contributions, and they save towards their own needs. So such kind of groups are helpful in mentoring and helping other young girls coming up. They, even if you miss to get a white collar job, you can always depend on the other woman for you to have your own empowerment at your level. But I had a question also. I don't know if I have time to ask.
Can I just say one thing before you do that? I do want to come to your question. There's another person joining the session who's in another room who works with our committee. And I know that she in particular has gone out into the communities around her area. She's in Nairobi, Kenya, and they've spoken to the elders about ending the FGM. And those that do not participate and stop that cultural tradition, they actually call champions. So they're actually taking on the leadership role to go out and do something to support, the young women. So I commend all of you for that, because you're really taking on those, any of this is really remarkable, and space to empower women and helping young girls in their own way as well. Your question is? Rhonda?
I think it was more of a comment if I understood her correctly.
She
It
said
was
she had a
more
question. She said she had a question.
Oh,
But
okay.
the problem
So,
has been more of market, how to get startups and how to get market. Thank you, over.
So the question that you have is, if you want to set up as an entrepreneur, how do you get set up, and how do you become and how do you get a market?
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Thank you. So, okay, so I'm going to ask Dena, do you have any thoughts on this?
So setting up a nonprofit or a company, or what
Good point.
specifically? Or a community, or because I feel like the approach would be different, but I feel like from what I understand, it's really geared towards inspiring entrepreneurship and mentorship, from what it sounds like. So
I think you're right, Dena. I think,
yeah.
well, unless Rhonda, do you want to come in and clarify? Okay,
But
I
I could just address from like a very like non-specific perspective. I think depending on your level of engagement, obviously you could start a nonprofit and bring in board of advisors. If you want to start a business that is geared towards helping others, you could start it as a B Corp, which is a way of telling others that it's a socially conscious business. Or if you have value and resources and you want to onboard yourself with an already existing nonprofit, you could do that. I just feel like with social media now, you could create a whole community, not necessarily as even a start, building a community through social media, whether it's a Facebook group and gathering individuals to your network until you decide what steps you want to do, whether it's a nonprofit or a company. But I really think the power of just community and bringing like-minded people together can even be done through social media until you figure out exactly the approach you want to take.
Thank you so much, Dena. I see another person here has a question. I can't read it too well. Is it Amita? Do you want to unmute yourself and open your camera? Hello, is she there?
She may have moved. Do you want me to go ahead and read the comment? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Okay, so it says, I was looking to see if it changed. Successful women will provide encouragement to attract more women to the field and show them the way. So leading by success.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Cairo. Okay, so yeah, we were looking at the idea of mentorship, but I think mentorship is not only for students in school, it's also when you come out of that. I want to ask Lebo, what do you think would be your suggestion for how to accomplish that? People are not in school, they may not be connected. How do we generate that, encouragement and support for women who are thinking about maybe wanting to do something, but I'm not sure there's a place to go.
Thank you for that question. Yeah. Most important is really when we all reflect on our own lives and we think about how far we've come, we think about what it's taken to get to where we are. I can't have been, I can't have gotten to where I am today without mentorship. And in similar vein, there are many people in communities without role models to sort of look up to. And if they do have those, they don't have the access or vehicles to enable their dreams to come true. And so really reaching those women is key. There are many grassroots organizations that, partner with, community organizations, as well as, School naturally is a very key way to attract young women and girls, but certainly community organizations and having partnerships with even the most unlikely of organizations, whether it be church groups and religious bodies, or whether it be community centers, abused homes of women who need shelter, etc. I think really broadening our minds beyond the scope of really reaching people who are already activated in systems is to use the organizations that would otherwise be unconventional. And then really critically assigning a mentor to anybody who listening to their dreams and thinking about if you're best equipped and other women who may be equipped to provide them with the leadership and tools to enable their dreams to come true.
That's really a great suggestions. And obviously you've been in a lot of thought before now. I can tell. I know you're feeling that. I think it's important too, if we look at creating opportunities. The pandemic offered us challenges, and we met those challenges, but actually in this case we're connecting from different regions from around the world. And I think it's an opportunity for people to have conversations. Like, how do you feel about this? What are your dreams? Open up a conversation so people can feel comfortable and safe to actually express themselves. And I think I see, Joan, you have a reflection about the marketplace. But one thing we do know is the marketplace changed when the pandemic happened. A lot of everything sort of went online, but I don't think online is gone. And I also don't think this connectivity with the virtual is out of our lives either. The one thing I do want to say, it's really important to make sure that people everywhere are able to connect, and not everybody has those resources for whatever that reason, either not having the computer, the connectivity for the phone, or the power to do it from electricity. Okay, so Joan, do you want to give us your question? Do you want to reflect on this about the marketplace? I think Joan left. So, all right, so who else would like to share? Lebo, can you, not Lebo, I'm sorry, I mean Cairo, looking at the chat, see if anything else is there?
So I see that Farah Diba said, do you mind sharing your website or Facebook link that shows your work and movement? Thanks. So perhaps we can, I don't know how you would like to proceed, Margo.
Yeah, so it's the NGO Committee on Sustainable Development New York for myself. And we'll put everybody, you can just write your websites in the chat if you want to. That's a thought, if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to come back to Courtney. Courtney, your reflections on this are?
So my reflections on the mentorship is, one, I have been so fortunate in my life to have a few amazing mentors, both women and men. And I think that one of the things that we can give to aspiring women, aspiring girls, whoever, is we can be mentors, but we can also, I think one of the important things is to encourage them to find them and to ask for them. Because I think people want to be mentors, and I think a lot of people are afraid to ask for that. And so I think that's one of the things we can offer is that.
Thank you. And I think that's why I was thinking if there was a space, like a chat, like offer a chat where people can come together and talk about their dreams, talk about their, what they might want to do. And yeah. Thank you so much. All right, so I want to come back to those of us, those who have joined us. Does anybody want to share a reflection with us?
Beulah has her hand up, and also I'd like to share something after she speaks. If that's okay.
Why don't I let you go first? Go ahead, Kara.
Sounds good. Okay, so what I was going to say is that it's really important that you find organizations that focus on business owners, especially those who may be starting out, so new entrepreneurs, because they'll have resources, there'll be workshops, you'll be able to get templates, you'll be able to network with other people, you can create strategic partnerships, you can collaborate, all of that. So they can be able to teach you sort of like the shortcuts to success rather than you having to make all of the mistakes and learn over a period of time, you're on your own dime, for example. And then what I would say is that it's so important to have mental fortitude, because you have to stay consistent and be laser focused in order to make your business a success and turn it from a hobby to something that is viable and sustaining long term.
Okay, so now, thank you so much, Caro. Let's go to, can you read off the people who had a question?
Absolutely. So it's Dula.
Who had, well, Dula, do you want to come back in again?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, this is actually a question for everybody. Rather than maybe looking at the individual initiative, I wonder if there are any countries where, as part of maybe tax exempt status, organizations are mandated to carry out something like this, a community sort of outreach for mentorship development.
That's a great thought. Okay, let's put that maybe in with the outtake for this meeting, this session, okay? We'll put that there. All right, Caro, do you see anyone else who wants to ask a question now?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right, so somebody just added another bit in the chat. Joan, are you back? Oh, you had no question. Okay. All right. I'm going to see if we could together as a group, if we can come up with like 4 or 5 points that Cairo will take into the main session as an outtake from what we've been discussing here. So what do we think? What do we want to put down? What is number 1? Lebo, why don't you go with it? Why don't you come up with number 1? Do you want to come up with that?
We can.
Lebo?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is she still here?
Lebo is still here, yes. I also have some notes I took.
Is she on the phone?
Lebo is here, yes. Maybe
You can't hear it?
Technology. Maybe it's a technological thing. Lebo.
Okay, I would like to go to Dena then. Yeah, Dena. Oh,
yeah, like I would definitely say for action steps, I would say identify, after this Zoom meeting, identify 2 to 3 organizations and or, women in leadership roles that you would like to kind of sort of follow or you resonate with, and either reach out to them, be part of their community, and seek some sort of guidance and mentorship. And even if you are not able to directly communicate with them personally, something that I used to do is watch them closely. If they're operating a business or a nonprofit, see what they have done and why, strategies that they created. So I definitely think those, action plans are a great step for anybody who is seeking that guidance or doesn't know where to start.
so can you put that into a sentence for us here? Because we want to put this is going to be the action plan coming out of this. So we're going to put down 4 or 5 points. So put that into one sentence. Just can we come up with that, just what to do there? And that's what? One of the actions, because we're going to come up with 5 actions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So basically, seek guidance and do a little like your research on key role models and communities that you aspire to be part of.
You have that, Cairo?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Lebo, are you able to speak now? Can we
Yes,
hear you?
I just had an audio
Yay.
cut out.
So come up with another action, not the same as the one that Dena just did. That was great, Dena. Go ahead. Another action.
So another action I would say is to really always go through a moment of reflection as well. Annually, there's a journal that I subscribe to, and I would always just use the themes that are present in it to set my goals across various thematic areas. And I think this is, it's not as to be understated. So I mean, I had a similar answer to Dena, but really thematically setting, your dreams on paper, thinking about what it is that you want to aspire to do, these action items would be really putting your vision board together around where you want to be as an action item to starting the process.
That would be action number 2. Great. Let's go now to Courtney. Courtney, do you want to come up with a third one?
I have an action item, and I think if that everybody who joined this call, this session today, connected with 5 other people who they connected with and worked together, that would be my action. So I'm committing to connect with at least 5 of you after this and see what we can do together.
Well, I think that may be good, but how about if we say outreach to people in your community? Because it's really about outreach to people that are in your community to empower them. How about that? Do you know what I mean?
Good. I'm done with that too.
We're going to adjust it a little bit just to like really do broader outreach. Yeah, broader. Yeah. Thank you for that. Well, we're all going to be connected, but you know what I'm saying. Go beyond. So Cairo, I'd like to have your, I know you're taking notes. We're up to action number 3. Why don't you give us a thought?
Absolutely. So for number 4, get clear and specific when you work on your business plan and executive summary before sharing them with your mentors for feedback.
I want to say this is not just about entrepreneurship. This is about leaders going into the community to maybe go toward helping with healthcare, maybe taking a chance to actually mentor others, youth, women of all ages. So it's not just about entrepreneurship. It's about leaders in general, becoming a leader. How do you mentor leaders? So do you want to revise that a little bit, or we can keep it the way it is? It's up to you.
Well, I know that there's questions talking about entrepreneurship, which is why I had that. However, we could
actually about mentoring. Yeah, we want to mentor in the bigger picture. We adjust everything as we go.
Okay, that sounds good. Why don't we take Laura's idea and I'll think of something else. Laura had an answer in the chat.
Yeah, so that's good. So I have a thought, and that is simply let's each one of us on this call make a commitment to go outreach to others and about supporting, maybe starting a conversation, maybe start a Zoom call link or something where you reach out to others and see how are they feeling? Do they feel like they're in leadership position? Do they want to help others? Just like a basic conversation, to go forth like that. And thank you, Carol. Laura, go right ahead.
Oh yeah, I wrote my ideas in the chat, but I had 2, and one of those was hosting storytelling rounds in the community, so we can listen to other girls and women's stories and kind of like reproduce them and start, this inspiring type of cycle.
An empowering circle. I like that. So how many, we can have more than just the 4 or 5 that we had. Each one of us have come up with something. Laura has something. Dula, do you want to have anything you want to contribute? Dula there?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
I do like that
action
idea
plan
of encouraging policy.
Yeah.
Encouraging businesses and other organizations to really make it part of their mission that they will conduct some sort of mentorship, either for business, for leadership, or whatever in the community. And it might be partnership with schools to provide mentorship program, training, or just outreach to the community to be part of their organizational mission, and maybe in return they get some tax exemption.
Interesting. You know, that's a good point. You know, there are also leaders related to climate action. So not everybody is an entrepreneur in that. And what they do is they're actually going out and doing advocacy for policy change, which you were just saying. So I'd like to make sure that as someone was speaking to me about this yesterday, let's make sure that leadership is about all aspects of leadership, you know, going into all areas, not just entrepreneur, but also safer climate, for women's rights, you know, and so forth. But you take a lead and you start, you know, start a campaign for something that you feel is you're passionate about as an idea. So,
Margo,
Cairo, yeah, go ahead.
is it possible that I can share one? I thought of one through this time. So the last.
How many do we have now?
This would be the 7th one.
Go right ahead.
Okay, the sentence that I have is to invest in your personal and professional development. So taking online and, you know, continuing education, courses, certificates, things of that nature. But I just put it in one sentence: invest in your personal and professional development.
That's good for you because you're going to be presenting this in a short while. So everything has to be short and concise because there's 5 coming out of this, and we need to make sure that we can. And we're I think we're maybe even the last one. So we want to get it all in there. I personally want to thank everybody for sharing their reflections. And I think this is what we want to do, is we want to create a safe space where we can express ourselves. You want people to be able to share what they think might be a possible way to go, and maybe come up with new ideas. Like, for instance, we started with entrepreneurship, Cairo, but it actually, after another conversation, it was clear that it had to be in a bigger picture, you know, like maybe for advocacy, going for climate, going for women's rights, taking a lead in that. And it could be, yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry. I can't, I hear some sound. Somebody trying to speak? Does anybody mute themselves? Is that not? Okay. I'm going to come back to each one of our speakers and ask you to give one more quick final reflection before I think we're going to go out of this room in a bit. Howard, do you know how much time we have left in this room? Do we leave it in about 7 minutes?
Howard's not here, but yeah,
I saw her.
6 more minutes.
6 more. Thank you so much, Felipe. Felipe, you want to share something?
Yes, just in summary of this conversation, which has been so important and so wonderful from the perspectives that have been shared, I would just like to encourage everybody to really form a powerful coalition of women who are geared to around similar goals and have similar aspirations that can, you know, catalyze your development, as well as how you can also catalyze others. So I think that coalition has, for me, been my biggest, you know, I don't want to say savior, but my biggest like area of growth is having other women look out for me, and hopefully they can, other women can that I look out for. And around themes, specifically because some of the ones that have been mentioned have been so important around mentorship, entrepreneurship, empowerment. These can only happen when we already have the base covered. And so, you know, getting women to have, you know, access to education and skills, so that certain things are just really just developmental. I just would encourage
I need you to be a little shorter because we're going to come out of this room. There will be no other continuing. They will just end us. And I want to give everybody a chance. Okay, thank you.
Form a strong coalition of women that are geared around the similar goals.
Thank you. I see. Thank you so much. I see Iris Stelling is here. Iris, do you want to give a quick reflection, or are you listening and we should move on? You want to unmute? You want to give a quick?
I have a frog, Margo. Hi, everyone. Thank you.
It's a quick one. We're almost ready to go out of this room.
I want to thank you as an older person now. I was young like you. As an older person now, I have friends in positions, and this seems like such a worthy cause. And for me now, I can drop some comments to friends, and I know they would be very inspired to hear all of your comments, and it may be easy for them to help in some way. So there's different perspectives on different ends, and we can all help. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for joining us, Iris. It's a pleasure to hear you. I can't see you, but a pleasure to hear you. And thank you for all you do to also inspire cultures of peace in our community. Thank you. I'm going to come now to Courtney, just a quick overview of what you thought you want to throw in here.
One, yeah, quick. One is inspiration. 2 is connection. 3 is my own personal commitment to what I will do. So what do I come out of this with? 5 action items that I will do. And I thank you all for all the work that you do. And thank you, Margo, for organizing this and being our leader.
No, it's a group effort. This is a team, truly. Thank you, Courtney, for all you do. Dena?
Yeah, it's thank you everyone for joining, and of course thank you, Margo. And I just want to just leave everybody with as girls and women are excelling and getting into certain spaces, I think the mentality of abundance versus scarcity will shift your approach in various different ways. Because personally, I was just speaking about this the other day, when women and girls are put in positions, whether any positions of power, influence, or even starting, sometimes we get a sense of scarcity mindset and we start acting different. I think when we approach it from an abundance mindset, we will create more an environment for other girls and women to advance. So
Thank you so much, Dena. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. I know that education was on the list and it's part of what we're going to be looking at. I'm going to come back now to Cairo. Cairo, can you just give us the actions that we came out of this with in case that we can fine tune it? So when you go into the main session, you'll be prepared with what we wanted to come out of this. Go right now. Just go right specifically to the actions that you're going to be taking out of the session.
Absolutely. So
Thank you.
No problem. Number 1 is seek guidance and do your research on key role models and communities that you aspire to be a part of.
Can you just go number 1, number 2, like that, so we keep them focused? Thank you.
Number 2, go through a moment of reflection as well and putting your vision board around where you want to be. Conduct outreach within your community. That's number 3. Number 4, start dialogue or Zoom link where you reach out to others. Number 5, hosting storytelling rounds in the community for an empowering circle. 6, encourage policy businesses and other organizations to make it part of their mission that they will conduct for mentorship leadership within the community. And number 7, invest in your personal and professional development.
Which includes education. Can you put education in there also?
Okay.
Yeah, research and education. Are we comfortable with all of this, everyone? And please call it our action plan coming out of this, okay? Thank you. Thank you so much, Cairo. Everybody, do we feel good about this outtake, everybody, from our session? Raise your hands if you're happy. Yay. Lebo, yes? Yes? Okay, good. There we go. Any of the people that joined us, everybody okay with that? Okay. All right. And how much more time? Okay. Anybody, how much time do we have?
We have 1 more minute.
We have 1 more minute?
Okay. We might be kicking out soon.
I just want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. And, we'll see if this encouraged you to actually think about, supporting others in your own communities outside of here. Yes, we can all be connected to each other, but let's go beyond here. We want to bring more people also into the SDGs. It's a critical time for us to be doing that. And there is a place where we can find some opportunities for solutions that people can take on to make a difference. It's my spiel. We have an expression with the NGO Committee on Sustainable Development: turn your passions into actions for change. I think if you're passionate, you'll be successful at what you want to do, as long as it's true to who you are. Cairo, you want to give us one last reflection? I know I can feel it. You want to.
I mean, I would love to. Thank you. I wanted to just tell people that, you're not alone in your leadership or entrepreneurial journey. There are women in the past who've paved the way for you and for us, and it's our mission to innovate, break records, and challenge stereotypes or limiting beliefs for future generations of women to follow. And I just wanted to say, Margo, you did a wonderful job. So
thank you. You all were great. You all were great. I want to thank Felipe for being here to look, keep an eye out for us and make sure we were secure. Thank you, Felipe. Is he still here? There. Okay. And Hawa, if Hawa's here, I don't see Hawa anymore.
They're saying
anybody want to? What was that?
They said we have a couple more minutes left. Swati said 4 more minutes.
We have 4 more minutes.
Yeah, so we're good on time.
You know, I really didn't want us to be cut off. That would be disappointing. Okay, so does anybody who's joined us want to share a quick, Rosalani, I see you're there. Do you want to share a reflection?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm just in the middle of something, so I can't show my video, but I'm really inspired really by everything that's been said here and all the women really coming together, and especially you, Margo, for your leadership and really thinking critically, how can we really look into our communities and figure out how to best motivate each other. I think one of the points that really stuck with me is someone mentioned mentorship and how oftentimes in connection with the idea of scarcity, you know, as women and also women that are not totally used to navigating such circles with the expertise that you have, Margo, we know we're often, you know, we're too scared to also reach out for help, right? Because we feel like we have so much to learn and we don't often value the knowledge that we're able to bring to the table. So I'm just really grateful for this group, for people to come together and women really strategically thinking, how can we support each other to really, to affect change both in our local communities and within the UN sphere. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosalani. And I'm going to share a personal piece about me. As I was growing up, I was told, no, you can't. For others, my brothers, it was yes, you can. For me, no, you can't. And actually, there's always been a, well, not really, maybe not, you can't. And, you know, I think I found my own strength to actually, because I said, you know what, we need to do something. We need to make a difference and we need to step up and we need to actually just need to do it. So I think it's about just do it. You know, if somebody's not doing it, then why not you? You need to be that person. You are that person. So I encourage everybody to just step up and do it. I found it within myself to want to start doing that. I was terrified, but I just said, we need to do it. And even in this community, you know, the speaking where I speak, I'm stunned because that was never me. So I'm a behind the scenes person in film, theater, and TV. It was always behind the scenes. So stepping up and even being here, it's, you know what, it's not so scary because you see people wanting to make a difference in their own lives. And it kind of fills you with like, wow, maybe you can make a difference. And I want to say, every one of you can make a difference. And I encourage you to just, if you're already taking a lead, keep going and bring more people into the conversation of what you're working on. Cairo, anything you want to say?
No, I think you said that just so well. Thank you. Thank you for sharing from your own perspective as well. It helps.
Thank you. I think if you make it personal and you come from your own point of view, you actually will reach people. And we want to have an impact. We really, with what we do with our committee, we want to have an impact with our meetings. We want to reach people, touch people in their hearts so they get it in their minds and they feel, yes, I can do this. So one thing, you're all empowered to go, just do whatever you're doing and do more. And don't ever say you can't, because you can't. Lebo, you want to share anything? I think we're about to almost go out.
Oh yeah, please. And indeed, like always keep believing despite the perceived obstacles. I know that's also simplistic, but really and truly your survival rate to date is 100%, no matter what you've gone through. And so always keep steering forward.
You're absolutely correct. All of us are survivors, and we survived the pandemic. And, you know, we remember those who maybe didn't. We keep in our hearts and minds those who put themselves, you know, it's just, we need to keep going and do more. Thank you so much. Thank you, Courtney. Any one last word for reflection there?
No,
Courtney, you still there?
I don't know.
You're done?
Yeah. I think you are so right, both of you. Like, we can do this. And that's it.
Dena, we're going to go out soon, I think. Dena? I want to make sure you
I-
get in here.
No, I just wanted to thank everybody, and also for girls and women who feel like they're being rejected, use that strength and rejection to reroute yourself. And sometimes rejection is the most powerful tool. So keep going.
That's so true. And include the men in the conversation because they need to know that they're a part of us. Gender equality is both those. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Great job. Thank you, Cara.
Anytime. So everyone, we're going to go back into the main room.
Thank you, Margo. Thank you.